Jim, I'm a black woman in America. I will never trust the police.
No matter what.
No matter what.
A few moments later.
Stop asking me how I feel about having a black police commissioner. He ain't doing a mother thing for the black community, okay? He did not do it for us. That him being in that position don't mean the same way he got on Facebook with his free speech bull talking about how he want to have free speech to critique the ACLU who's fighting for immigrants and making sure that they ain't deporting people to goddamn ICE, right? Meanwhile, here I am going live asking for housing assistance.
Many months later.
Can you understand why they might be upset given the fact that you're under federal investigation?
No, because I'm innocent until proven guilty.
A few moments later.
A Boston community activist is going to be sentenced in January after pleading guilty to federal fraud charges.
This BLM leader pled guilty to defrauding her investors, which included some law enforcement offices like district attorney's offices that gave her money for her anti-violence campaign. Let's talk about it. You won't believe what I just found. Right here is a 1914 draft card from my grandfather, something I never even knew existed until I used my heritage. And that's not all. I uncovered articles, marriage records, and even found 35 relatives I didn't even know exist. This is why I'm excited to be partnering with My Heritage, the leading family history service that makes it simple and fun to uncover where you came from. Let me show you how I got started. I opened my account and began building my family tree just by entering my parents' names. From there, the magic unfolded, branch by branch, showing parents, grandparents, and even more. Everything organized in one spot with privacy protections for living relatives. And some of the things I found will blow you away. I found the Baltimore Afro-American from 1966, showing my grand-aunt's wedding to a Mr. James Hart, and even mentioned my great-grandfather, Alex Brody, and his wife. I also found my Uncle King Brody and my Aunt Minnie, and so many others I had no idea were in my family tree. These discoveries were eye-opening and deeply personal. Now, seeing all this, draft cards, census data, newspaper articles have given me an incredible appreciation from where I came from. Now, if you want to discover your own family origins, you can start building your family tree today with a free 14-day trial. Now, you can click the link in the description or in the pinned comment or use the QR code on the screen to begin your journey. This is Monica Cannon Grant. She hails from Boston's Roxbury neighborhood and is best known as a community activist. Now, she came to fame in 2017 when she organized a counter-protest against what she and many others considered to be a white supremacist rally in Boston.
We're not standing against white supremacy. We're not going to have it in our city, not in Boston, not in Roxbury. We're not having it. Hey, hey, ho, white supremacy has got to go.
As many as 40,000 people turned out Saturday, showing opposition to the expected message of the rally in a march against white supremacy. At the beginning of the march in Roxbury, organizers spoke out against the agendas of neo-Nazis and white supremacists, but also the mixed response to them from President Trump.
Now, in 2017, she launched a grassroots initiative called Violence in Boston. Now, even though it started off as a Facebook page, it turned into a multi-million-dollar not-for-profit in under 4 years. Now, during that time, she coordinated Boston's largest peaceful Black Lives Matter rally that had zero, and I mean zero, arrests. She also got $54,000 in public funds for pandemic relief and claimed that Violence in Boston, her not-for-profit, fed 80,000 families. Now, for all this work in 2020, she was named Bostonian of the Year. Now, Grant became a local celebrity, and that allowed her to charge $1,500 for things like public appearances, $900 for public speaking, and $50 for a personal message from Grant to you. Now, the not-for-profit is going so well that even the district attorney's office gave Grant money so she can do good works. Here is Grant talking about the district attorney's office giving her and her not-for-profit $6,000.
Y'all are trying to clock what I'm doing, and you're monitoring, because the DA's office gave me a $6,000 grant. And I was like, y'all are monitoring $6,000. I spent 20 grand in the month of August. You don't get it. Off of grassroots fundraising, helping women, paying light bills, paying rent.
So the DA's office was so confident in this woman, they said, we're going to give you and your husband $6,000 for your not-for-profit because you're doing good things. So it was a shock to the DA's office when she was indicted for fraud.
Breaking now at noon, federal fraud charges against the founder of the nonprofit called Violence in Boston, as well as her husband.
Now, the details of this story are hilarious. Remember that $6,000 she got from the DA's office? This is what she did with that money.
In June 2019, Cannon Grant accepted a $6,000 grant for violence prevention from a Massachusetts district attorney's office. Prosecutors say that money instead went to a nail salon, going out to eat, hotel rooms, fuel costs, and car rentals.
Now, something else that's shocking is that she was collecting unemployment. So she's taking money, thousands of dollars from DA's offices, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from investors, and she's also taking unemployment insurance from the government, which makes no sense. And one thing to show you how dumb she is, she started texting between her and her husband, confessing to the crime. I am not joking. She texted her husband, quote, "Unemployment caught my ass. Asked me to provide documents by June unless I'll have to pay it all back."
According to court documents, Cannon Grant and her husband presented themselves as unpaid leaders of the nonprofit. But authorities say Cannon Grant paid herself an income of more than $25,000 in 2020 and more than $170,000 in 2021. Authorities also say the couple collected more than $100,000 in pandemic unemployment assistance, though Cannon Grant was earning tens of thousands of dollars in consulting fees and her husband was earning weekly pay from a job. The couple's accused of using the money on plane tickets, new furniture, to defray the cost of a motorcycle and more.
Now, in an interesting twist, Grant's husband was killed in a motorcycle accident right after the indictment.
A motorcycle crash has killed the husband of Monica Cannon Grant, the community organizer who's under indictment on fraud charges. Clark Grant was killed in a crash in Easton last night. Grant was facing charges, along with his wife, that they used money for her nonprofit Violence in Boston for themselves. Both have pleaded not guilty to those charges.
Now, even with all the evidence, like the receipts, the text messages, and the fact that she was getting all this money to help people, but really only helping herself, allegedly, the community still had questions about why she was arrested.
Again, she's innocent until proven guilty.
That's the reaction today at the anti-violence nonprofit organization founded by Cannon Grant and her husband, Violence in Boston, which uses this building in Hyde Park as a social impact center.
She has me working with the gangs in the streets to make sure that, we can kind of stem down violence. Can't be mad at a person like that. I mean, yeah, we make mistakes. Yeah, we may have messed up, but again, we're not educated on what a 501c3 is supposed to do all the time.
So the Fed said she lied about getting paid. She lied about saying she's helping people. She used the money to furnish her house and to go on these elaborate trips. Matter of fact, she even was able to con the DA's office. She conned the DA's office, allegedly out of $6,000. This woman had it all. Now, you would think that would be the end of her speaking engagements, but no. A local high school then invited her to come speak to the students about activism.
I made the front page of the Boston Globe 3 times in 1 year because I called the mayor the M word. I'm not going to say it, but it's mother something, okay? I wouldn't advise you do that. I don't want nobody saying that Monica said call your teachers or anybody the M word, but that's what I did because he was pissing me off. And I want to show you that it's the bottom one. This is what I received when I made the front page of the Boston Globe because I'm the first person in history to call the mayor the M word. Right?
Now, this alleged fraudster who's indicted on 19 federal charges of fraud, stealing money from the community she said that she's helping, living it up. The parents were like, this was ridiculous. She shouldn't be in there giving any speeches to our kids.
The parents demanding answers from the superintendent. They want to know how a community activist facing more than a dozen federal fraud charges was invited to speak to students.
Well, on its face, that doesn't sound very good.
I know my ex-husband's outraged. As a parent, I just feel like it's not good.
Can you understand why they might be upset given the fact that you're under federal investigation?
No. Because I'm innocent until proven guilty.
Today, we spoke with Monica, not only about her presence at the school and whether she stole money.
No, I didn't.
As a mom, would you have had a problem with someone who is under federal indictment giving a speech to your kids?
No, because the people closest to the problem understand how to solve it. I am not the first black activist. In fact, there are 326 black activists facing federal charges.
Now, if you watch this channel, you know we've documented many of BLM's financial failures.
Black Lives Matter's finances under scrutiny once again as tax documents show the nonprofit on the brink of bankruptcy.
No peace. Following the murder of George Floyd in 2020, supporters donated a staggering $90 million to Black Lives Matter. The nonprofit has spent most of that money, ending last year with a $9 million deficit. Federal filings from 2020 to 2022 show just a third, $30 million, went to other charitable organizations. $22 million went to expenses. This includes millions paid to board members and family members of co-founder Patrisse Cullors. For example, $1.6 million went to the father of Cullors' child for security services. Another $2.1 million went to BLM board member Shaloma Bowers for consulting. Patrisse Cullors left BLM leadership in 2021 after documents revealed she spent millions on luxury homes in LA and Georgia. She took to Instagram last week, writing, quote, "For the last 2.5 years, I've been relentlessly attacked by the media. So many lies and so much mis- and disinformation. They are hell-bent on destroying my life."
So now when BLM was called out for losing $90 million and paying off all the board members' family members, they screamed racism.
On their website, BLM calls the criticism misinformation from the right, adding, "This is what happens when black people are financially autonomous from white supremacist structures like the nonprofit industrial complex."
So even the nonprofits are racist against black people. Like, they're stretching it a little bit here. So now, since BLM all across the country has been turning out to be this scam organization, let's turn our attention back to our girl Monica Grant in Boston. Because after telling everybody she's innocent, and she didn't do anything wrong, but the evidence was pretty overwhelming, as you saw, so she had to go and plead guilty.
A Boston community activist is going to be sentenced in January after pleading guilty to federal fraud charges. Prosecutors say Monica Cannon Grant took thousands of dollars in donations that were earmarked for her anti-violence nonprofit. However, she spent it on herself. They say she used the money on everything from vacations to rent payments. Cannon Grant was the founder and CEO of Violence in Boston. Again, the nonprofit was intended to reduce violence and help community causes across Greater Boston.
Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office of the District of Massachusetts put out a statement, and as you can see here, Monica Grant pleaded guilty to all 18 counts, so she's guilty of everything. Now, at sentencing, she's facing about 100 years in prison, but she's likely not going to get that because first-time offender, sentencing guidelines, blah, blah, blah. She may be looking at maybe 5 years or less in prison with some supervised release and having to pay back all of the money that was allegedly defrauded. So Monica Grant is in some trouble. So what do you think the judge is going to do? Do you think he's going to give her at least 5 years or something a little lighter than that? Now, you got to understand the DA's office up there was defrauded. Thousands of investors were defrauded. So there's a lot going on here. And the brazenness of it, right? She's getting unemployment insurance while she's making hundreds of thousands of dollars. None of this makes sense. Why are you stealing $200-300 a week in unemployment insurance when you're making all this money? But it's not for me to understand. Let me know your prediction in the comment section. My name is Nate the Lawyer. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Now, thanks again for MyHeritage for sponsoring this video, and don't forget to click the link in the description or pinned comment. Start your 14-day free trial.